In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how homeless people are turning vacant school buildings into indoor survival communities. Heat, bathrooms, beds, cafeterias, classrooms, routines built inside public buildings that cities locked and forgot. Starting with why so many schools are sitting empty in the first place. There's a particular kind of empty building in America that still looks alive from the street. A school. The flagpole is still out front. The playground might still be there, rusting a little. The signboard still says "Welcome back" or "Have a great summer," because nobody had the heart or the budget to change the letters after the district closed the place. And schools close for reasons that sound boring until you realize what they leave behind. Enrollment drops because families get priced out of the neighborhood. A district consolidates 3 half-empty schools into one newer campus across town. A charter school experiment burns through money and folds. A rural town loses its mill, then its families, then its elementary school. Sometimes the building is too old to meet modern education standards, but too expensive to tear down. So the district boards it up, pays for the minimum insurance, maybe sends someone to mow the grass twice a year, and waits for a buyer that may never come. But a closed school is not just an empty building. It is a small indoor city, bathrooms everywhere, a cafeteria kitchen built to feed hundreds, a gym big enough for overflow shelter, classrooms with doors, windows, and storage, a nurse's office, locker rooms, boiler rooms, drinking fountains, custodial sinks, offices, libraries, sometimes showers. If you were designing an emergency shelter from scratch, you would land frighteningly close to a school. That is the uncomfortable part. The building already has the bones of survival. The city just stopped using it. A vacant warehouse gives you space. A closed church gives you a kitchen and a few private rooms. An abandoned RV park gives you hookups. But a school gives you scale. That's what changes everything. 1 or 2 people hiding in a building is one thing. A school can hold a whole community without feeling cramped. A classroom becomes a sleeping room. The gym becomes the shared room. The cafeteria becomes the kitchen. The nurse's office keeps medications, bandages, and papers dry. The teacher workroom becomes a charging station. The library becomes the quiet area, which sounds funny until you remember that quiet is rare outside. And because schools were built for children, they were built with safety and routines in mind. Fire exits, restrooms by wing, wide hallways, strong interior doors, durable floors, drinking fountains, signage that makes the building easy to navigate even in the dark. That design helps the community inside keep order, because the building itself is organized. There are natural zones: sleeping, cooking, washing, storage, gathering, keeping watch. A warehouse has to be carved into a living system. A school already has one. It's just been repurposed. The first move is not breaking anything. The first move is observation. People who survive this way are not usually looking for drama. Drama gets police called. They watch the building the way a facilities manager would, except the clipboard is a backpack and the budget is 0. Is the grass cut? Are there fresh tire tracks near the service entrance? Does a district maintenance truck visit on Thursdays? Are lights still coming on at night because timers were never reset? Are neighbors using the playground to walk dogs? Does the parking lot get police drive-thrus? Has the building been sold? Or is it stuck in that dead zone where the district still owns it but nobody actively uses it? The safest looking buildings are usually the ones in limbo. Not demolished, not renovated, not converted, not fully guarded, just held. A district may keep the utilities partially active to prevent pipes from freezing or to maintain sprinkler systems. Insurance may require certain systems to stay online. The building is empty enough to be ignored but important enough that it hasn't been allowed to collapse. That in-between state is exactly what makes it useful. Entry, when it happens, is usually through neglect rather than force. A loading door that no longer seals right. A cafeteria service entrance that was never properly rekeyed after the food vendor left. A window already broken by vandals months earlier. A side door that maintenance workers use and sometimes fail to latch. The people who last do not smash their way in because damage is a signature. The whole point is to leave the building looking just as vacant tomorrow as it looked yesterday. The first thing people check is water, because water decides whether the building can support more than a temporary night inside. Schools are loaded with plumbing, student bathrooms, staff bathrooms, locker rooms, janitor sinks, cafeteria sinks, drinking fountains, nurses' office sinks, sometimes showers near the gym. Even if some lines are shut off, it is common for parts of the system to remain live if the fire suppression system or boiler protection depends on it. A working toilet indoors changes the health picture immediately. That sounds obvious, but it is worth saying plainly. Outdoor homelessness turns sanitation into a daily crisis. Where do you go? Where do you wash? Where do you clean clothing, wounds, dishes, hands? A school building answers those questions in a way no tent camp can. It has actual bathrooms built to serve hundreds of people a day. Even one bathroom wing can transform the whole setup. The janitor closets matter too. Utility sinks are deep, durable, and designed for buckets and mops. They become wash stations. The locker rooms, if they still have usable showers or drains, become hygiene areas. Nobody is living luxuriously here. Let's not get ridiculous. But being able to wash your face, clean a cut, rinse clothes, and use a toilet behind a door is a massive jump in dignity and disease prevention. Heat is where schools become especially valuable. A school heating system is built for large occupancy and harsh mornings. Those boilers and radiators, or old forced air systems, were designed to bring a cold building up before the first bell. In older schools, the boiler room is the heart of the whole place, and if the district is still running minimal heat to protect pipes, even low-level warmth spreads through the building. Nobody needs the whole school at 72 degrees. That's not the goal. The community only needs a warm zone. Interior classrooms near the center of the building, a small wing where the doors close, a library or teacher lounge that holds heat better than the gym. The strategy is always to shrink the usable space down to what can actually be kept comfortable. The rest of the building stays dark and still. When central heat is not available, people use the same careful, low-risk tools that show up in other hidden setups. Battery banks, heated blankets when power is available, ceramic heaters with automatic shutoffs in small rooms, heavy sleeping bags, layers, mattresses lifted off cold floors. The groups that survive long-term are careful about fire. In a school, fire risk is not just personal danger, it's a public disaster. A burned school becomes front-page news, and everyone inside knows that. So open flames are avoided, heaters get monitored, and carbon monoxide detectors become non-negotiable if any combustion source is anywhere near the building. The gym, by itself, is usually too big and drafty to heat well. But the gym has another use. If classrooms are private rooms, the gym is the dormitory and the town square. It is the place where a larger group can sleep when the weather is brutal, where people can spread out without blocking hallways, where supplies can be sorted, where cots or mats can be arranged in rows. Schools already have the square footage for emergency shelter because many of them have literally been used that way during storms, wildfires, and freezes. Sometimes the building still has gym mats. Sometimes there are folding cots left over from disaster preparedness storage. More often, people bring their own bedding, sleeping bags, foam pads, blankets, cardboard under mattresses to break the cold from the floor. The gym floor is hard, sure, but hard and indoors is still a different universe from wet concrete under an overpass. The classroom system creates separation. Families or trusted groups take classrooms. Single adults use the gym or a designated room. People who need quiet get the library or a side office. That separation matters because a lot of shelter systems fail people on privacy. Everybody stacked into one room, lights on, noise, fear, no place to breathe. A school solves some of that with architecture. Doors, hallways, corners, rooms that were built for 30 students now become enough space for 3 people to sleep without feeling trapped. Now let's talk about the cafeteria, because this is where a vacant school becomes more than a sleeping spot. School kitchens are serious infrastructure. Walk-in coolers, industrial sinks, ovens, serving lines, prep counters, storage rooms, dish areas. Even when the district removes the expensive equipment, the layout remains. Water, drains, ventilation, surfaces that can be cleaned. A working cafeteria means people can cook in batches. Rice, beans, pasta, eggs, soup, oatmeal, cheap food that becomes cheaper when a group buys and prepares it together. Someone with a car makes a pantry run. Someone else cooks. someone else cleans. Shared meals become shared order, and shared order is what keeps a community from turning into chaos. Food storage is just as important as cooking. A dry pantry keeps groceries off the floor and away from weather. If a refrigerator or freezer can be safely powered, perishable food becomes possible. That means fewer daily trips, less exposure, better nutrition. We're talking about the basics that stop people from spending every hour solving the same 3 problems. Where do I sleep? Where do I wash? What do I eat? A school-sized setup cannot run on luck. It needs rules. Not because anyone is playing mayor, but because one careless person can destroy everything for everyone. The basic rules are usually obvious. Keep quiet near the street-facing side. No trash outside. No lights visible from windows at night. No damaging the building. No stealing from each other. No bringing in someone nobody can vouch for. If there's conflict, handle it inside without calling attention to the property. Everyone contributes something: cleaning bathrooms, hauling water if needed, cooking, watching the entrance, checking weather, keeping an eye on which parts of the building are safe. This is where people underestimate homeless communities badly. They imagine disorder because disorder is what they see from the outside in the most stressed public spaces. But put people inside with rooms, bathrooms, heat, and a reason to preserve the setup, and structure appears quickly. Humans organize when organization helps them survive. It's not magic. It's common sense. Morning starts before the neighborhood fully wakes up. People using the building carefully know that daytime presence is risky. So anyone with work, appointments, food pantry pickups, or benefits offices heads out early, looking like people headed somewhere because they are. The sleeping rooms get reset. Bedding gets rolled and stored in closets or behind stacked classroom furniture. Bathrooms get cleaned. Lights go off. The building returns to looking empty. Daytime is scattered. Libraries, day centers, part-time jobs, temp shifts, school enrollment offices for families, clinics, whatever keeps life moving. A few trusted people may stay behind if someone is sick or if the weather is dangerous, but the fewer bodies visible during daylight, the better. Evening is when the building quietly becomes a community again. The cafeteria turns on first. Food, heat from cooking, people talking low, phones charge in one room. Kids, when families are involved, get a quiet corner for homework if they are still attending school somewhere else. And yes, that happens. Because family homelessness is far more common than most people want to admit. Then sleeping areas get set up. The gym or classrooms fill. A night watch is arranged. The building goes dim. The whole thing is fragile. But while it works, it gives people something outdoor homelessness almost never gives them: predictability, a place to come back to, a dry bed, a bathroom, a routine. Without those, rebuilding a life is nearly impossible. With them, even unofficially, even temporarily, people can start making decisions that reach beyond tonight. Let's not romanticize this. A vacant school is public property in many cases, or former public property, and trespassing there can bring consequences. Because schools carry emotional weight, discovery can trigger a stronger response than discovery in an old warehouse. People feel protective of schools. Parents worry. District officials worry about liability. Police may treat the situation aggressively, especially if there is any sign of damage or if minors are present. The building itself can also be hazardous. Older schools may contain asbestos in floor tiles, pipe insulation, ceiling materials, lead paint, mold from roof leaks, bad air from ventilation systems that have not been maintained, broken glass, unstable ceilings, flooded basements, electrical panels that should not be touched by anyone untrained. A closed school can look sturdy and still be quietly dangerous. And then there is the human risk. A larger setup means more people, and more people means more chances for conflict, theft, addiction issues, untreated mental illness, or one person making a decision that draws attention. That's why the rules matter. That's why the most functional setups stay smaller than the building could technically hold. Filling every classroom would be the fastest way to get caught and the fastest way to lose control. The calculation is harsh but understandable. The street is dangerous immediately. A closed school is dangerous conditionally. For someone choosing between freezing outside tonight and sleeping inside a heated classroom, the legal risk tomorrow may feel less urgent than surviving until morning. That is not irrational. It is what people do when the official options are gone. The same logic applies to other educational buildings that have gone dark. Closed daycare centers, old community colleges, shuttered vocational schools, empty training centers, former Catholic schools attached to parishes, district administration buildings left behind after consolidation. They all share pieces of the same survival design: bathrooms, offices, classrooms, kitchens, heat, parking lots, and a layout made for groups of people moving through daily routines. A vacant daycare has small bathrooms and nap rooms. A closed vocational school might have showers, workshops, and industrial kitchens. A former college building has lounges, labs, and offices. The specific building changes, but the appeal is the same. These places were built around people, not products. That makes them far easier to adapt into shelter than spaces designed only for storage or machines. Zoom out, and the contradiction is hard to swallow. America has communities closing school buildings because there are not enough children in the neighborhood, while those same neighborhoods have families sleeping in cars because there is not enough housing they can afford. That is not irony. That is a policy failure with a roof on it. School closures often follow the same forces that create homelessness: disinvestment, rising rents, population displacement, job loss, and public systems shrinking instead of adapting. A neighborhood loses affordable housing, families leave, enrollment drops, the school closes, and then the empty school sits there while the people pushed out of housing try to survive nearby. It is all connected, even if city meetings treat each piece like a separate problem. Some districts and cities have explored turning vacant schools into housing, shelters, community hubs, senior apartments, or transitional programs. It makes sense. The buildings already have kitchens and bathrooms and public ownership history, but conversion is slow and expensive. Zoning, asbestos remediation, ADA upgrades, fire code, politics, neighbors, budgets, every obstacle gets a seat at the table. Meanwhile, winter does not wait for a feasibility study. So, people move into the gap, not because it is ideal, because the building is there, the need is there, and the official timeline is measured in years while survival is measured in nights. Last thing, because it matters. The people who figure out how to live inside a vacant school are not failures. They are workers whose rent outran their paycheck, parents trying to keep children warm, older adults priced out of fixed-income apartments, people with disabilities waiting on benefits, young adults who aged out of systems that promised support and delivered a folder of phone numbers. Think about what the setup requires: reading a public building's maintenance rhythm without drawing attention, keeping bathrooms clean enough to keep people healthy, turning classrooms into sleeping areas without leaving evidence visible from outside, coordinating food, heat, charging, watch schedules, conflict, and cleanup among people under enormous stress. That is organization. That is intelligence. That is leadership under pressure. A vacant school was built to give people structure, safety, meals, bathrooms, warmth, and a place to learn. When homeless people turn it into an indoor survival community, they are not misusing the building in the moral sense. They are revealing what the building was always capable of doing and what the rest of the system stopped doing for them.